It is near the end of 2023, and believe it or not, I've been on 78 different flights this year. And I have 8 more before the year ends. Some people absolutely hate airline travel. But when you do it so much, you find out all the strategies and secrets and tips where it's not that painful. In fact, it can be enjoyable. Just like sex. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Xtreme channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, I am kind of immature, as if you haven't figured out, but with that immaturity, I still travel all the time. So this channel is about extreme living. A lot of stuff to do with collectibles, traveling, fun experiences, but I really wanted to dive into all the different tips and tricks that I use when I fly. So I'm going to talk about 5 different things today that are really important to me that I fly, and hopefully you can pick something up from this and maybe even make some decisions on your future travel plans, whether you plan to travel 4 times next year or 40. These last few years, I travel almost every single week. Now, prior to that, I would probably travel 20, maybe 25 times a year, about half the year. And a lot of times I had other people like companies or travel agents booking my travel, so I didn't get to take full advantage and be strategic necessarily about what I want to accomplish and the benefits and rewards I would get. But now that I do it myself, I've honed it down, and through my own research, I've discovered some of the best ways to actually make traveling more enjoyable and get a lot of kickbacks. So first thing I'm going to tell you about is you need to find a rewards credit card, and there are so many different ones to choose from. And I've done some pretty big research, and I ended up landing on this one right here. And I ended up landing on one I'm going to tell you about. Now, the great thing about this one is it gives you travel rewards. So through using those rewards, I've actually received back over $30,000 a year in travel rewards. That's actual dollars I can spend on travel. And I do that through the Chase Sapphire Reserve. This credit card right here, I actually am going to leave a link in the description below where you can click on it and get more information. It does have an annual fee of like $600. However, if you spend $300 on travel using that card, you automatically get $300 of it credited back. So almost half of that's gone. And the rest of it you can find in rewards. So let me break that down. There's a number of different ways to do this. Number one is the Chase system actually has their own travels website, kind of like Expedia. It actually even feeds into Expedia on the back end. So if you're going to go book a flight, you can book it through their website, and they have all the different airlines. Although I don't think they have Southwest, and that's because I never fly Southwest. And you get 5% back on every single flight you book. So whether you book it for yourself or for someone else. Hotels, you get 10%. Other miscellaneous travel, you get like 3%. And there's certain restaurants and tiers that they do promotions. You can get anywhere from 5 to 20%. So that actually becomes cash in your account. And you can do a number of things with this cash. You can withdraw it. You can move it to airline bonus points. Or you can rebook stuff on the Chase website. And when you do that, they give you a 50% kicker. So that means if you booked a hotel through Chase Sapphire Reserve, and then you're going to use those reward points to book another hotel, you actually get 15% back. Now, when I spend $1,000 a week on hotels, that means I'm getting a $150 kickback that I can actually spend on hotels on my own vacations every single week. To put that into perspective, I use that card for almost everything. And if you don't want to book through the Chase website, you still get that 3% up front. So say you book a cruise, if you have rewards through some other system you do it, like you could go on Expedia or hotels.com and still get that 3%, which essentially would turn it into 4.5% back. So the Chase Sapphire Reserve is the number one thing I recommend because it also gives you something called a Priority Pass. Priority Pass is a conglomeration of a bunch of different companies, mostly at airports, where it gives you a perk in each airport. So I'm housed out of Denver. Denver International Airport actually gives me $56 free to spend at one of their bars every single time I'm on a flight. I can go in and sit down and order food and drink, or I can get shit to go, which is typically what I do. Get a bunch of soda, water bottles, snacks, chips, put them in another suitcase so I can have them in my hotel room. $56 every single time if you have a guest, $28 if you're alone. Some airports, they do stuff similar. Some, they give you free massages, but there are tons of perks with the Priority Pass. You can look that up, Priority Pass. And it's good for 5 years. So that's number one. Find a credit card that you can get a ton of rewards out of. Like I said, this year alone, I'm getting about $30,000 in free travel from the Chase Sapphire Reserve, not to mention the Priority Pass. Second thing I'm going to tell you, airlines. Find one airline and stick with it. no matter what, even if it's a little bit more expensive. And most likely, use the airline that has a hub at your home airport. So that's why I use United. United has a hub in Denver. First of all, I have direct flights everywhere, which is a huge bonus. But with United, I continue to stay with them and I get elevated in status. Depending on how much money you spend and how many flights you do per year, you actually get elevated. Well, I'm at the top public status that you can get. It's Premier 1K, which has a lot of advantages. Some of those include I get a board even before Group 1, which is nice because you always have room for your overhead space and you don't have to worry about waiting in line. And you get in front of most of the idiots. Number 2, you get free upgrades. Depending on your status, and there's a lot of strategies to this, like booking certain fares and using points. And when I say points, I don't mean miles. I mean, depending on your status, you actually get upgrade points. I'm not going to go into that today. I get upgraded sometimes right at booking and sometimes right before the flight, probably 80% of the time to first class. I also have no fees when switching flights. Sometimes I switch flights an hour before the flight because something better comes along. Not only are there no fees, but it's simple to do on the app because of the status. Plus, I have a dedicated phone line because of my status. Free baggage. So when I travel in first class, it applies to my whole family. Every single person can have 4 70-pound bags. So my family of 5, if we wanted to, we could bring 20 70-pound bags at no charge. If we're not in first class, we only get 3 each. And if we're not in first class, even with my status, I still get free drinks and food. Not unlimited like first class, but still a pretty cool perk. Something else too, you have priority check-in, priority lines for security, priority baggage check. Not only is a shorter line to check your baggage, but your bags come out first. And this is all because I stayed with the same airline. And other airlines have very similar programs. Now, another big advantage that I not only got from my Chase Sapphire Reserve, but also from my United status, I get Clear for free. So that's my third thing. There are 3 different programs at the airport to help expedite you through security. The first is TSA PreCheck. The big advantage to TSA PreCheck, in my opinion, is you don't have to take your shoes off and you don't have to take shit out of your bag. That is such a big advantage. You can sign up for TSA PreCheck, go through a background check, there's a waiting period, you go through an interview, and you get that advantage. Then there is Clear. The one big advantage about Clear is you don't need your ID. It reads your face. However, they randomly ask you for your ID, and it seems like a lot of the time, so sometimes that advantage isn't there. But like I said, I get Clear for free, and so does my wife because of my status and the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, which is kind of nice. Now, if you combine both of those, because there's lines for TSA PreCheck and lines for Clear, there's also a line where it's combined, which is really nice. And the third thing is global entry. First of all, global entry includes TSA PreCheck, so you could completely skip that and just get global entry. You only get this if you go out of the country a lot, which I do. The great thing about this is a lot of the ports, you don't even have to talk to an officer. You don't have to show your passport. Sometimes you do, depending on the airport, but they just scan your face and you walk right through. It is a fantastic advantage, has a higher price tag, but my entire family is global entry, Clear, TSA PreCheck, all of the above. It takes a while to get those once you start the application process, but 100% worth it and something you should do if you're flying more than 4 times a year, in my opinion. All right, 2 more categories I want to talk about. The first, I want to go back to the seats on the plane. You know, it's funny. I'm currently arranging a trip for 90 people, a reward trip, and some of them, because of how well they did, they get to fly first class. And one of the ones I was talking to is like, I've never flown first class before. And I was like, oh, you're screwed because you're never going to want to go back. And I was having a conversation with some vendors who also fly a lot a few weeks ago. I can't even remember where we were. And we were having dinner, and a guy was complaining that he didn't get bumped. He had to sit back with the peasants, which is what my daughter says. And if you've flown first class, you understand it is so much better on so many levels, and you don't want to go back. Now, for me, the biggest advantage of first class, I'm a large person, a fatty, a tall guy, whatever you want to call it. And the space is unbeatable. You have tons of space up there. And that is the biggest reason I never want to go back. Throw out all the other perks like free food, free alcohol. The food's never very good on any airline. The free alcohol is obviously a nice perk. It's kind of an elevated status. And again, some of the perks I already get because of my status, you would get if you sat in first class. You get a board earlier, you get free checked bags. But I'm going to tell you, if you really want to take your flight to a next level and you don't have status, look into going to first class, especially on overnight or overseas trips. We mostly use our points and status, but we will not go on an overnight or overflight without going to the head section. So for example, United actually has a few different classes of first class. Domestically, it's a normal first class, like you'd see bigger seats. You walk in, there's anywhere, depending on the size of the plane, from 6 to 20 of those seats. Then they have the giant planes that go overseas or to Hawaii that actually have a Polaris. They call this a Polaris class. So they have the normal first class they call Premium Plus. They have the Polaris. The Polaris are essentially the beds and a few other perks, better food. We love to fly on those. It's actually part of the experience that's really fun. So I'd highly invest, if you haven't flown first class and you're doing a trip this next year, bite the bullet, figure out a way to get in first class, whether it's through upgrades or points or mileage, or just pay for it. So this year, I think I've had 3 flights I haven't flown first class. Some of those I just paid for the upgrade. $150, sure, just me traveling, let me do it. But a lot of times I got automatically bumped. So first class is my other recommendation. My last recommendation is, depending on what airline you're with, get into the clubs. The clubs are so nice. Some are better than others, without a doubt. But again, the big advantage to the club is not necessarily free alcohol and free food, but that does save you a lot of time. I'm going to come back to that. But the seating, it's better than sitting on those shitty seats by the gate that so many other people are, and they're loud and obnoxious, but it's quiet there, big comfortable seats, and so worth it. And again, I'd highly recommend that whatever your home airport is, join the club that they have a lot of locations at your home airport. So for me, it's United. Denver has a lot of great United stuff. They even have a United to go option where you can go in, grab whatever food and drink you want, not alcohol, and then take it with you. Now, you can get clubs a number of different ways. Airlines used to do it based on status. Most don't do that anymore. You can buy the credit cards to get in, which I think is the majority of people in there. And then also you can just bite the bullet and pay for a club membership. So for example, United's club membership, if you're going to pay full retail price, is $600 or $700 a year. But if I'm at a United club for 50 weeks a year, 100 times, you figure if I eat and drink there and that saves me $20, that's $1,000 in food and drink. So if I paid full retail price, which I don't because of my status, it's actually saving me money. So again, lots of different ways to do it. So those are my 5 recommendations. If you travel and want to really make it more enjoyable, more comfortable, look at the clubs, look at first class, stay with the same airline, look into the pre-screen programs like TSA PreCheck, Global Entry, and lastly, get a credit card that has good rewards. I've done a ton of research. In my opinion, the Chase Sapphire is the best. Again, the link for that is in the description. So hopefully you enjoyed this, whether you travel or not. It's a little bit different video, but just like every video, it's still part of the giveaway we're doing. So if you like stuff like this, hit the subscribe, but more importantly, leave a comment to see if you can win a $1,000 prize. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Just giving you my 2 cents. I'm not an expert. Maybe I am. I don't know. I think I am. But I could do a lot more of these videos. Let me know in the comments if you want me to. Now I'm going to go to the airport. I shit you not.